Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. Also, I do the midweek videos, which is this thing. Hi. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom! Shakalaka done. All right, and I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They set you up with online therapists that are all master's level and PhD level. They're all licensed. If you are outside of the United States, they will set you up with a United States counselor. Of course, you guys will have to figure out the time difference because there'll be a time difference. But BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. I've gotten really good feedback from people who are using them. So they are a good online therapy provider. So BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, so one of the questions was, what is the difference between healthy narcissism, I hate it when people say that, and self-esteem? Let's be clear. There is no healthy narcissism. Let me say that again. There is no healthy narcissism. There is self-esteem, and then there is narcissism. So self-esteem is just that quiet little voice in the back of your head that goes, okay, I like you, good job, keep going. Oops, you screwed up. Okay, forgive yourself, move on. That's healthy self-esteem. Narcissism is ego. It is all ego-driven. Self-esteem is knowing your own worth. And self-esteem is knowing your limits, okay? Narcissism is based on a false sense of self. It is based on false worth. It is based on ego. It is based on things. It is based on external things. So self-esteem is coming from you. Narcissism needs other esteem, okay? So that's the difference. There's, I hear people that don't understand psychology, and I'm not making fun of the person who asked me that because this isn't a question that I get quite a lot, but I hear abusers use that, oh, well, there's healthy narcissism. No, there's not. No, there's not. There's self-esteem, and then there's narcissism, and those are two completely different horses of a different color. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So be very careful if you hear somebody using that. Oh, I have healthy narcissism. No, you don't. No, you don't. You either have healthy self-esteem or you're a narcissist. There you go. You can't have healthy narcissism. That critter does not exist because narcissism is based completely in ego. Totally. Self-esteem is not. Self-esteem is knowing your own worth, knowing your own limits, being able to praise yourself, also being able to go, okay, well, I can try differently next time. I can do this next time. Whereas narcissists are just like, I've never made a mistake. I'm always perfect, blah, 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 blah. That's not self-esteem. That's living in fantasy land. So that is the difference. So yeah, so the next time you hear somebody using that, especially if it makes you feel icky, you're probably dealing with an abuser. So yeah, so that's the difference. Self-esteem is self-esteem. It comes from the self. Other esteem is what narcissists rely on. Okay, let's hit the questions. Can someone believe that they are in a relationship with another person who doesn't even pay attention to them? Yes, and that, unfortunately, is delusion. So delusions is when somebody decides that, and this is is it schizotypal? I think it might be schizotypal. So schizotypal, ideas of reference, weird beliefs, magical thinking. So schizotypal is when somebody goes, oh, this famous actor or actress wore a certain color and therefore they are signaling to me and me alone that they want to get together for coffee. Okay, it's delusional. It's delusional. So a healthy, normal relationship, there's give and take. There's, you're in contact with the person, you're talking to the person. There is an actual relationship there. With ideas of reference, with delusional thinking, with magic thinking, there is no relationship. And, the person who's got the magic thinking, the delusional thinking, is constructing this fantasy land where they're in a relationship with this person when there isn't one. So yeah, if that's occurring, that's a little concerning. That might be that might be something to really make sure you go no contact, and to make sure you're protected and you carry pepper spray, because they can become obsessed. They can become, because their reality is real to them, even though it's fantasy based, even though it's magical thinking, it's real to them. So think Rebecca Schaeffer, who was an actress back in the 90s, My Sister Sam, and she had a stalker. And this guy, in his head, she was giving him signals, she was, telling him things, and he went to Hollywood and killed her. So, yeah, so you got to be careful about things like that. Okay, Do you think that the pandemic is triggering narcissists to lash out in public? I think it's triggering a lot of people to lash out in public, not just narcissists. Again, as I said on Sunday, I truly believe that a large portion of the public got PTSD and doesn't realize it. Short temper, impulsive, acting out, ruminating, all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, I do think that, and it's funny because like I said also on Sunday, that people who have worked on their PTSD recognize it within this pandemic construct, and they're actually able to deal with it a lot better than the people who don't recognize it, haven't been diagnosed with it, haven't had to deal with it. So, God works in mysterious ways. In some ways, having been through all of the trauma that we've been through has almost actually prepared a lot of us better for pandemics or trauma-filled times, because we recognize what's going on and we're able to go, oh, I'm having a trigger. I'm having this is because of this, as opposed to like completely flummoxed as to why. The outburst, the anger, the road rage, I've seen all sorts of crazy stuff. And I know it's because a lot of the people on the roads are dealing with PTSD and don't even realize it. And it's because of this ongoing pandemic. This has been going on for 2 years now. It's been very hard on everybody. And if somebody is not prepared or doesn't understand the signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, they're going to be flummoxed when they start acting out. So yeah, I do think that is definitely, and narcissists especially. So let's quickly talk about that. Narcissists are control freaks. They must be in control at all times. When a pandemic happens, they're out of control. So they're going to latch on to whatever will make them feel safe, whether that's anger or conspiracy theories or whatever else. So psychological fact, people latch on to conspiracy theories as a way to feel safe. So if somebody is just floating these crazy conspiracy theories and you're like, whoa, 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 let's bring you back to reality. First of all, you don't want to approach it like that because they won't respond well. What you do want to do is acknowledge the fear. Acknowledge the fact that they feel out of control. And then help them feel more in control, but not with conspiracy theories. So that's basically what's happening with that. Narcissists especially do not like feeling out of control, and they are the ones that are going to be lashing out with the anger more so than anybody else. So there you go. All right, there's that. Okay. Do I have a video comparing and contrasting narcissism versus autism? If not, can you please do one? After a narcissistic relationship, I see certain traits everywhere, but I think I might be misunderstanding autism. Okay, so autism is not my strong point. It's not something that I've done a great deal of study about, but here's what I can tell you. Narcissism is different than autism. Okay, so in high-functioning autistic kids, they sometimes have a really hard time, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, have a hard time recognizing emotions and recognizing appropriate responses. So it's just not the way they think. So it's not that they're being, intentionally cruel or cold or anything else. It's just not the way their brains work. So I would strongly suggest that you go do some reading up on autism and look at the differences. Look at how kids with autism respond to emotions and things like that. Narcissists, however, are intentional. Narcissists absolutely mean to hurt people. Narcissists absolutely have an agenda. Narcissists absolutely know what they're doing, okay? They've got a plan. They know what they're doing. They have a desired outcome. Autistic kids don't. So if they are not responding to emotions the way you want them to, or the way they think they should, it's because of the autism. It's not because they're being intentionally cruel. It's just because it doesn't occur to them that this is an emotion that needs to be responded to. So, and again, let's be clear. A lot of narcissists claim to have autism, and that's their excuse for their behavior, but it's different. Narcissists are intentional. It occurs over and over and over again. They don't try to change it. Whereas if you let a child with autism know, hey, that's inappropriate, they'll make a point of making sure to learn the appropriate response and correct it. So, yeah. So there's a huge difference. Huge difference. And like I said, also, narcissists will claim to be empaths. Narcissists will claim to be, ADHD or any other diagnosis that would give them the excuse for their behavior. So, and again, I know plenty of kids with ADHD that do not act like jackwagons. So, yeah, so there it is. So, yeah. So I hope that answered that question. Okay. All right. Is it possible for people to lose empathy and lash out very aggressively? Well, so in helping professions, okay, there's something called burnout and compassion fatigue, where you just stop caring because you literally can't. Like, I can't. I can no longer. That's compassion fatigue and burnout is where you absolutely lose any ability to, have compassion for your clients or have compassion for the world or whatever. That's when you've reached burnout. And that's a very dangerous thing, especially for somebody that's in a helping profession. And I talk about this in the new book that I've got coming out, which will hopefully be in November, I'm guessing, I'm hoping. I'm going to start doing the audio for that. So my new book is all about, what it takes to be a therapist. And one of the chapters I talk about is how to avoid compassion and compassion fatigue and burnout. And one of the ways that you avoid compassion fatigue and burnout is you know yourself. You take care of yourself. You make sure that you're doing self-care and that you're taking time off and that you are hiking and being physical and eating healthy and drinking water and doing fun things and talking to your friends and things like that. Where people get into problems or trouble with compassion fatigue and burnout is when they don't take vacations, when they don't do fun things, when they don't take care of their bodily needs, when they don't take care of their emotional needs. That's what leads to compassion fatigue and burnout. So hopefully, if somebody is normally compassionate and they lash out, hopefully somebody can point it out to them and they'll go, yeah, I'm burnout. I need a break. Okay, go get a break. But don't take it out on your clients and don't take it out on your coworkers and don't take it out on your family and don't take it out on your friends. Be responsible, personal responsibility. Now, of course, again, as I've said before, narcissists will claim that is the reason that they're lashing out. And I call moo. I call moo so big. You know when you're lashing out. You know when you've reached the end of your rope. You do. And there's only been a couple of times in my career that I have felt that, and both times dealing with extreme domestic violence. One time it involved a child, which just freaked me right the bleep out because I had to see the pictures of the abuse, and it was horrifying, and I had nightmares for weeks, months, probably years. So, it's you know yourself, and you know when you've reached your limit. You make sure you have somebody to talk to. This is why all good therapists have therapists. And you make sure that you take care of yourself so that you don't reach that point. If somebody is reaching that point and then claiming that, oh, I'm burnt out, I'm this, I'm that, well, I'm sorry, it may be a reason why you're lashing out. It's never an excuse. Boom, shakalaka, you know what I'm saying. All right, next question. Completely unrelated, do you follow true crime cases like the Gabby Petito case all over the news? Unfortunately, yes, and they just found her body. So, and I knew as soon as the boyfriend disappeared, I knew she was dead. So, Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't like it when I'm right. So, yeah, I do follow those cases, and I try not to comment on them until they've gone through the whole thing. So, but in this case, the boyfriend disappeared, couldn't make himself look any more guilty, and they just found the body. So, yeah, and my heart goes out to that family. She was just such a little bundle of light. So, yeah, and then I'm probably not going to comment again on it until it's gone to trial and it's gone through. I mean, I've got some theories, but there it is. So yeah, I don't mind talking about the cases that are done because they're done, right? I'm not so crazy about talking about the cases that are ongoing because I don't want to taint anybody's opinion. I don't want to give a wrong thing. I don't want to. So, if you want to talk about past cases, sure, I'll talk about that until the cows come home. But if it's an ongoing case, I'm going to stay away from it. So, but in this case, like I said, boyfriend disappeared, body's been found. Not looking good for the boyfriend. If I were an investigator, he'd be number one on my list. So yeah, so there it is. All right. But then that's usually the way it is. If you watch true crime things, it's usually the spouse that is the number one suspect in a lot of these types of cases. So, which is why I love watching Dangerous Women, because it's a very, very interesting thing. They do historical ones, they do, relatively recent ones, etc. So anyway, there that is. Alrighty then. Let's go to the next question. How long do you have to wait before taking the MMP1-2 tests if there is a retake? That I don't know. I don't give personality tests, so I would talk to your provider and find out. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. What's the difference between CPTSD and PTSD? Well, I talked about that on Sunday, but I'm happy to describe it again. So CPTSD is complex, and it's with abuse cases. It's with domestic violence. It's when the trauma is daily, ongoing, different. Ooh, I cut my lip. Dear Lord. Ongoing, daily, maybe different abuse, but it's still abuse every single day. So, it just means that it's complex. It means that it's ongoing. It's like daily. PTSD is usually a one-time event. So like witnessing a car accident or being involved in a robbery of a bank or seeing somebody murdered or seeing somebody run over or, it's usually like one-time events. But with us, with domestic violence, it's ongoing. It's daily, and it could be ongoing for years, if not decades. So that's why it's important, I think, for whoever you get as a therapist to definitely in their notes make sure, yes, it is PTSD. That's the diagnosis that's in the DSM. But you want to make sure that they know this has been ongoing for years. This person has put up with this type of abuse for years, so that it's documented that this has been an ongoing thing. This wasn't just a one and done. This was something that went on and on and on and on. So anyway, hope that helps explain that. Okay. I would love it if you could go into substance use disorder. My parents thought they could just have children while smoking the devil's lettuce. I've never heard it called that, but okay. They couldn't, really unstable. Okay, substance use disorder. So and I worked in the homeless shelter for years. I loved it. That was my favorite job. I got to tell you, next to private practice, that was totally my favorite job. When somebody is addicted to substances, it's generally because they're trying to self-medicate. So, usually you talk to somebody, they've got a laundry list of traumas in their past, and they're trying to run away from it. They're trying to self-medicate. In other cases, they're doing it just to do it, But like in cases like the homeless shelter, they're self-medicating. Narcissists will also have addictions, but it's an ego thing. So it's usually something flashy, a lot of money, cocaine, that kind of thing. Very popular in the 80s. Oh my God, never tried it, never want to. No thank you. So, they do things like to show how much money they have or show how, hip they are, or which basically they're showing how stupid they are. It's like, really, you're going to snort that up your nose, really? So, but substance abuse is usually because they're self-medicating, and it can also be self-medicating for a genetic issue. So, for example, I always knew somebody had bipolar when they would come in and they would say that they were doing crack and alcohol. So they would do the crack to bring themselves up when they were in the depressed state, and they would use the alcohol to bring themselves down when they were in the manic state. And they would do this consistently. And I would ask them, and be like, well, when do you smoke crack? When do you smoke alcohol? And they would tell me, and I would be like, you need to be on a mood stabilizer. You need to not be taking crack and alcohol. You need to be on a mood stabilizer so that you're not going to these high highs and low lows. So sometimes it's because they're self-medicating. If they're depressed, yeah, they'll do uppers to make themselves feel better. If they're too manic, they'll do downers to make themselves feel better. And this was something that Rocky, who was my peer support, and I always talked about. Don't be your own apothecary. You don't have the training. You don't. And you don't have the ability to help yourself the way a professional could help you. Now, am I a fan of pharmaceuticals? Hell to the no. I don't like a lot of pharmaceuticals, but there are some that are very helpful, such as for bipolar. It does help. You know, you take a person who's been rocketing up into the stratosphere and then going down into the depths of hell, suicidal, etc. You get them on mood stabilizers, they're able to live a relatively healthy, normal life, which is great. So, you know, but am I a fan in general of pharmaceuticals? No, not really. I think that a lot of things are overprescribed. I see Seroquel overprescribed like nobody's business. And people don't understand that that can cause tardive dyskinesia. Tardive dyskinesia is where, I don't know if you've ever seen this or not, but like if you see someone on the street and they're grimacing, you know, that kind of thing, and it seems almost involuntarily, it's because it is, that's tardive dyskinesia, and it is caused by heavy-hitting antipsychotics such as Seroquel. Seroquel is often prescribed as a sleep aid, which a friend of mine got it prescribed as a sleep aid. I said, you need to read this article. I sent them all of the information on tardive dyskinesia. Read it, went back to his doctor, take me off of this. Nope, take me off of this. Yeah, so the off-label use is as a sleep aid, but it causes tardive dyskinesia in some people. You know, no matter what the dosage is, doesn't have to be a high dosage. So, you know, that's where you want to be very careful with heavy-hitting antipsychotic medications. Really, Seroquel is used for the floridly psychotic. That's usually when they prescribe it, is when they're just, you know, floridly like floridly hearing voices, you know, command hallucinations, you know, violent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's usually when they prescribe Seroquel. So, and Seroquel's not the only one. There's other, you know, drugs out there that I'm just like, not with a 25-foot pole would I touch that. So, yeah, you've got to be almost like your own advocate, and you've got to be willing to look at the side effects and investigate the side effects. What are the side effects of this particular drug? Does it cause involuntary muscle contractions? Because, like I said, you see the old guys, old homeless guys that are obviously on heavy-hitting antipsychotics, and they're grimacing. That's part of the tardive dyskinesia. So, anyway, there is that. Let's see. Get off of my computer. Oh, I get all these little messages, and I'm like, stop it. So, substance abuse. So, you know, back in the day when I was a small child, my dad, alcoholic, opiate addict, and he had a miserable childhood, and he was definitely trying to numb himself. He hated his life. Hate, capital H. Oh my God. So if you want to know about living with an addicted parent, what's wrong with your dad, available on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, yada yada. There it is. That's my story. So with parents that use, they're not present a lot of time. My dad wasn't present. He was not present. He could not be a good dad because he was drunk or high almost the entire time. So yeah. And yeah. So substance abuse is generally because somebody's self-medicating, or they are self-medicating for emotional stuff, or they're self-medicating for physical stuff. And really the best answer to that is therapy, trauma therapy. Why are you not living in the present moment? Why are you wanting to medicate yourself all the time? What's going on? Now, I can understand an occasional drink. I can understand an occasional, I don't know, what are those called? Blunt? No, not a blunt. It's a, marijuana. Mary Jane, whatever it's called. I can understand an occasional doing that. I don't do it. Why? Because I get stupid. So, I mean, seriously, like back in the day, back in college when I did smoke, it was like, I think the most brilliant thought I had was, I have been peeing as long as dinosaurs have been on the planet. I was in the bathroom. I just have these stupid thoughts, and I just went, I don't like the way I think when I'm doing this. So no, thank you. So yeah. So anyway, the point being is an occasional drink, fine, that's great. But if somebody's numbing themselves 24/7 and they're not present, and they're not present for their kids, that's not good. And that means, okay, what's going on? What are you running away from? So yeah. Is there a book? Oh, I think I answered this one, that explains how to do tapping. Yes, there is. Again, though, I really would prefer that people go find a professional to teach them how to do it, because they've had the training and they can talk about the pros, the cons, the dangers, the side effects, the everything else. So, because everything has a side effect, So you want to talk about that. It's just like when somebody starts therapy with me and they've got a huge amount of trauma, I let them know. You're going to be having flashbacks. You're going to be having emotional triggers. You're going to be feeling stuff. That is going to happen. That's a side effect of cognitive behavioral therapy. So, and you need to let them know so that they know what to expect. So, okay, kids, I think that is about all the time I have for that today. This next week, we're going to be talking about how to keep your kids safe, how to help your kids through the divorce. So, we're going to talk about, parental alienation, which obviously I can't put in the title because then I won't get money for this, which is annoying. I don't understand that. It's like, it's a real thing. It happens. Why don't we just let people know what we're talking about? Don't get me started. So anyway, we are going to be talking about parental alienation. We're going to be talking about modalities to help your kids with therapy, how to make sure that you've got it in your divorce decree that the kids do get therapy, because I've seen abusers, no, they can't have therapy because they don't want anybody to see what they're doing. So we're going to be talking about helping your kids with the divorce. I think that's probably what I'm going to title it, or just helping your kids. So I think that's what I'm going to title it. That's what we're going to talk about. I'm tired. I'm going to go lay down now. So you guys go have a good week, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.